This is Guns and Eyes and Watches, and I just want to talk to you about some of the stuff that I've learned when dealing with diamond hone sharpening systems. Now, of course, the Wicked Edge uses diamond stones, as do others. Here's one from Easy Lap. That's a diamond sharpening rod. And these are some of the things that I've had to learn kind of going through the process. Because to tell you the truth, diamond sharpening systems aren't my norm. I started out with Arkansas stones, this, there, the other, da 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 da. We can all go through the process. And of course, everyone knows that my favorite, even though this stone is not clean, is a Sharpening. And this is the 500 medium on glass. So it's one of the cheaper stones, but it's, you know, it's good. It works well. Now, something I want to tell you about diamond sharpening stones. This is a 100 grit on one side and 200 grit on the other. What have I learned? These can screw up a knife real quick, boys. Cause if you, man, you don't know what the hell you doing, man, this is gonna really fuck up, man. Or hey, man, you gotta work some timing on this, man. Because what it's going to do, man, the advantage of any diamond sharpening system is the fact that you have basically an inert media with diamonds impregnated into it. And the diamonds stick up above that, like my finger sticking up above this stone. And as the piece of metal cuts across it, those diamond fragments, being in a Mohs scale of around 9 plus, of course, shear off the metal, because the metal, of course, is not that hard. Well, unfortunately, 100 and 200 grit are very abrasive. They will create a situation to where you will have to work a tremendous amount. Now, they're great at reprofiling edge if you want to do something at a different angle. But what you have to understand is that they will create micro scratches, and I'm not going to get these to show up on, because they only work well with under a microscope. They will create a lot of scratches on here that basically create micro burrs. Now, on a 1095 steel knife, that's not an ideal situation. And you have to basically polish those out or take them off. And then, you know, you go into, you know, let's try it like this, boy. We got that there 400, man, on that side, and we got that there 600 on that side, boy. And if you ain't trying to reprofile no edges like, boy, then that's probably where I would start. And then the 800 and 1000 grit of this one. And then you can go on, and those are that's 1000 grit is my finest diamond. And then you can go on to ceramics, which are 1.4 micron and then 0.6 micron. But I'll tell you basically the advantage and disadvantage. Of course, these really work for reprofiling an edge. My honest to God advice, unless you have a lot of time to waste, you know, I don't know that I would do a whole lot of reprofiling edges. Like this BK15, I really like this BK15 because it has an upswept tip on it, and because it has a very fine point. It has good sweep. It's a good camp knife. It's also good for one other thing. If you need to shove a knife into someone and you're not using the stabby like I watched it on some prison fucking movie where you're just stabbing somebody's liver multiple times and trying to get them to basically bleed out or lose blood pressure really quick, and you're using some of the major systems in the liver to do that. What you can do with this upswept tip is, with a single blow, you can go below someone's rib cage and up through the diaphragm, which is a very strong muscle and very hard to get through, and then go into their heart and basically take them out with one thrust, which is basically what these type of knives have always been used for. They have become very popular as a steak type, decorative type deal where you're cutting a lot of, you're cutting your steak at some fancy restaurant. But what they were originally designed for is basically to go up through someone's vital areas, man. This Easy Lap, which I brought up previously, is a 600 grit, which is a little bit, of course, it's right between here and there, between the 4 and 600. No, it ain't, bull. What the hell's wrong with you, man? You just 600. Yeah, I'd love to say that this is actually 600 grit, like is on here, but I'm going to tell you that it's not. It is somewhere between the 4 and 600 grit. And what it actually does is it creates a lot of micro serrations. Now, where those micro serrations come out are in S30V, in particular S35V. This 600, even though it leaves a horrendous edge, will make an S30V knife very sharp, very quick, with a very, very, very workable edge. Looks like hell on a stick. But it actually works. And those micro serrations and cutting those carbides and all the things that those diamond edges do on this works for those particular types of metal. And I didn't make this shit up. I didn't come up with this myself. I learned from people like Gail Bradley, people like that. And I've given Gail a lot of shit in the past, and I do, because he builds very utilitarian and chopping type of knives and this, that, the other. And that's not my environment. My environment is, man, I'm getting stabby with it. We gonna stab something, baby. Or gonna go, woo-hoo, yeah, baby. And that's just the way it is. And as I said, I give Gail a lot of shit. I really do. And I have given him a lot of shit in the past. I mainly gave him shit over his first generation Gail Bradley knife from Spyderco, which I thought was a utter heap of shit because they had no lightning holes in the handle. There none whatsoever. And anyone that sits there and says they existed is an ass that basically doesn't know anything. And it wasn't there, didn't see the knife, doesn't understand anything about it, and is basically a fucking moron. The subsequent versions of that knife, where they gave the lightning holes and all this other crap, are a much better knife. Now, there's only about a ½ ounce, of course, difference, but it deals with the center of gravity of the knife, the feel of the knife, and how it feels in your hand, and how you feel the actual edge as it moves around. And that's an important thing when you're actually dealing with knives. Knives are one of my specialties, not, of course, of sharpening knives, because I have people that do that. I've never been, I sharpen my knives to a certain level, but I'm always know people that will do it better than me. Like with all of my equipment, I'm never the end-all be-all. I basically put things together that actually function and work. Like with this. Don't ever buy this Easy Lap, by the way, with the brass handle. This is the aluminum handle one. Weighs about an ounce. Works really well with S30V. And if, your edge is not going to look nice and polished and shiny, shiny, shiny like that one, but you'll be able to really cut a lot of crap, and you'll be able to deal with a lot of shit. And you can actually go into an environment, and it's like most people, they want that there down swept thing, and they want that there big flat bang, because we're going to baton something, man. We're going to whack on it, man. We're going to woo! And they lose the art of the knife, and how you actually use it, and how you fight with it, and what you actually do, and how to actually kill with it. There's a lot of videos out there as far as how to kill a piece of wood with a knife. There's not a whole lot of videos out there to understand how to actually kill something that's alive and fighting back, and how to do it correctly. That's something that's lost in YouTube, and that's something that's lost in a lot of other things. And I'm not going to show you it in my videos just because I don't think you need the information. But it's just part of it. This is Guns, Knives, and Watches. And before you start using these 100 and 200 grit diamond sharpening stones on your knife, be aware of the amount of time that you're going to have to put into that down the road to get all of those, the basically serrations and crap from just, you know, it's got diamonds sticking up. That's its biggest advantage. It's also its biggest disadvantage. You've had a more homogeneous surface, you know, a 100 grit. I mean, think about it, man. What's a 100 grit diamond stone going to do to your knife? What's a 200 grit? I don't know. Just think about it. It's like, man, it's like, dude. It's like, we're like, man, what's going on? This is like things to think about for like your time and your money and the things that you like do every day, man. And remember, 600 grit diamond stones are really, really good for like these ultra super metals, man. This is Guns, Knives, and Watches. Peace out, Boy Scout.